Oops, forgot to put the chat window in. Yeah, window capture. Chat. Okay. Not so nice. Should do the job. G'day Greg. Nice to see you. Early and prompt. Actually, that's kind of contradictory terms, but fair enough. Let's get these gloves on. That's better. Pad. Hey Lisa, an ITC. Alright. Almost didn't. Kraja, you're actually early for once. Very good. Alright, where have we got? I don't actually have to do much with this one because it's a dead phone. I've just got to put it back together. The only trouble is I can't remember which one was their battery. I think it might have been this one. Nope, it's definitely not. That's an iPhone 5S 5C battery. I want a 5 battery. Hey, Paul Lewis. I've got to find this 5. I can't believe I've misplaced that battery. Let's see. It's a bit of a tricky one because the customer's probably never going to use this again. So I thought, what am I putting it back together for? Hey, QTEX. Oh yeah, I was just talking to Jason about that. I'll have to go and watch the full video later. I saw half of it last night. We were just chatting about things, how to make business better for all of us. Hey, Tolfman, 13-hour shift where all I have to do is watch board repair. Well, that's going to be a tough life, isn't it? And naturally, this camera, no. Joy's being left-handed. No one's going to get to see me do this unless I move the camera to the other side. It's only one stage. Yeah, here I am, putting back together a phone that I know is never, it's just going to sit in a drawer and rot. I don't really like putting batteries back into these ones because although the batteries shouldn't achieve ignition status or anything like that, it is still a concern to me. They do puff up. Sad day? Oh, it's not really a sad day, TCRS. Yeah, what TCRS is going on about is what's in the title, and I'm pretty much done with what I wanted to do with OpenBoardView. I mean, I was never the originator of the project. I mean, that's Chlorodite. And there's other people working on it, like there's Matt, Sturgeon, and Pernov. So, yeah, I may have added quite a bit myself to it. I've done a bunch of things and, helped get it out there and, is this the right screen? Yeah, it is. Just doesn't want to sit back in properly for some reason. Yeah, I feel like I've done my contribution, most of what I can with OpenBoardView. There's plenty more features I would have loved to have added, but I'm just sort of a bit busy with everything else now. I haven't provided any really good updates in a while, and I think it's just if you get too attached to these projects, I mean, there's no harm in that. But originally, I only ever got started working on OpenBoardView because after Chlorodite released it, there was a couple of little things that I wanted to fix up. Well, I shouldn't say fix up. It was just more, I wanted to add some enhancements. And so I added them, and that got out of control. And I put a good 6-7 months of very hard work into OpenBoardView to get it to pretty much where it is now. And that's it. I'm done. Like I said, I've got plenty of other ideas, but they're going to take too much effort, time, and things like that I just don't have at the moment. I've got to work on the business. Me doing OpenBoardView probably cost me, it's easily $10,000 in terms of work I didn't get done, paying work. So, yep, there goes the car. So that's it. I'm sort of going to let someone else pick it up from here and run with it. Like I said, Pianov and Matt, they're working on it. I'm sure there's plenty of other people that come along. I do wish we had managed to get the PAD's binary PCB files decoded, and I may actually still work on that just in the background, because it is an interesting format, and it'd be very nice for us to be able to use that, because that means then we don't need to use ZXW for a lot of stuff, and we don't need to be restricted to using Windows for the existing free viewer. Did I even check to see if this is on? Oh, it's off. So anyway, yeah, like I said, I want to put my energy elsewhere. Let's see. Did you design the new BoardView software we've been using? Q's, if that's OpenBoardView that you've been using, then I didn't design it, but I did sort of, I think the appropriate term would be commandeer the project, because there already were people doing stuff with it after Chlorodite kind of dropped it on us. When I say dropped it on us, I mean he actually released it so everybody could use it, and that's when Lewis put out that video last year. It was sort of, where he moved away from Landrex, and he was happy about this new OpenBoardView software. And from when I watched that video, I went along and I thought, well, I want this to work for Linux as well. And I found it was open source, and there were people who had already started the cross-platform port. And then, I just sort of commandeered it, literally. Started adding a million things to it, sort of overwhelmed everybody. And they all just sort of sat back and let me go crazy for about 6-7 months to get it to where it is now. So yeah, so the current version, which is 7.2, 7.3, I can't even remember. That's how bad it is. I've just been busy with everything else. That's pretty much where I left it. Man, I shouldn't have done that. I'm supposed to be using this one. The reason why I shouldn't have done that is because the tweezers can catch up just under here. There's a chip here, under here, and you can occasionally catch that and nick it. It's probably not fatal, but it's also not smart. Okay, this is just a screen replacement, by the way, or at least that's what they've told me. Well, the corners are all good, which is pretty rare for an iPhone 5 these days. Shock. Hey, Paul. So, yeah, I mean, in a way, it's kind of sad that I'm not really actively working on OpenBoardView anymore. But, like I said, I don't want to drown with it being this sort of big emotional attachment to it or anything. It was never directly my project. I just sort of took over it for a while, and yeah. And so now it's time for me to walk away from it. I learned my lesson many years ago about getting emotionally attached to these sort of projects. It's just not good to do it. You've got to be able to walk away when you can. Yeah, queues. That's the format that I want to be able to decode. And fortunately, all the data is visible in there. It's just that we have to work out how it correlates with itself. It's basically a linear dump of everything, and trying to find out how it all interrelates is the real hiccup. We also think there's some little tricks in it, such as instead of specifically defining where every pin rests, I think they're using an intermediate package definition, which then defines relative to the origin of the package where each pin is. Whereas most of the BoardView formats that we currently decode, they explicitly define where each pin is in the board space. There's no definition of or concept of a package outline, which is why a lot of the times when you look at the board views, the package outlines seem a little bit odd. It's because they're not even defined, so everything has been just heuristically determined. And every now and then you do get a few corner cases that we don't handle, and everything looks weird. Or, yeah, it just looks weird. Where did they go? I've got it there. Yeah, Paul. I mean, yeah. So half of me wants to hold on to it and keep controlling it and all that sort of stuff. But realistically, I've achieved what I wanted. There's no point me excessively investing more energy and time into it, when really I need to be getting onto this sort of stuff. Working on this here, which is what makes me money. I mean, certainly OpenBoardView was very good for me because it was actually my first I wouldn't say large, but it was my first sort of distributed GitHub type project. It was also probably the biggest step in using C++ for me, because I'm traditionally a C person, not a C++. And C and C++ are actually very different in many ways. Thankfully, Pernod bashed me across the head quite a few times to stop me trying to infect the source code with too much C. Because you can intermingle them, doesn't mean you should. And at least now, with stepping away from OpenBoardView, I can always find something else to do. There's more electronics projects I'd like to put time into. But yeah, these, we're just doing screen repairs here. These just came in this morning, Sunday morning. I got a message from some people saying, "Oh, we need a screen replacement. Can you do them? We know it's Sunday, we're sorry." I was like, "Yeah, sure thing." Well, at the moment, I work 7 days a week. It's just the way it's got to be. But to be fair, it's low impact work. It's like I'm not stuck at this desk the whole time, 9 to 5 or whatever. I can sort of get up, go away, do other things, come back. I'm fairly casual about it. Oh, great. What have we got going on here? Oh, thanks TCRS. What the hell? Looks like TCRS is onto it. That was interesting. Let's have a look at this. Oh, joy. So yeah, if we can get the pads binary PCB format sorted out, that would mean, at least for me, slightly less reason to use or have to buy ZXW. And it'd be nice for the fact that it will work on Mac and PC, Linux as well as Windows. So there's a bit of cross-platform going on there. It is something if maybe I sat down, spent a week at it, I'd probably eventually work out. But it's hard work, it takes time, and it's one of those things where you really don't want to be disturbed while you're doing it. Every now and then you have to play races whack-a-mole. It's almost every day. Yeah. Come on, there we go. No. Yep, there's a tiny piece of junk in there. Having the microscope definitely has been helping me out a lot. I fixed up a machine last night. Not a machine, what am I talking about? I fixed up an iPhone 4 last night, like the original iPhone 4. It had corrosion damage all over it. And it was good having that microscope, and then it's so dry here that the static of all my gloves and everything is pulling up everything I'm doing. There we go. And then with the new soldering station, so yeah, it's really good having the new equipment. It's certainly a lot easier than it was before with just the magnifying glass. Would not want to go back to that. You could design something for that pads and charge. Fully loaded. I appreciate you not limiting it to when a board is out of the phone. It's fun to watch someone else. I mean, in terms of like just working on the iPhones in general. Yeah, you're right. Everybody does tend to develop their own technique for how they go about the disassembly process of these things. And like it varies whether which handed you are, what tools you've got, and just habits. What do you start replacing when you can't enter BIOS setup? If it's not, I'm presuming you're talking about a PC. One of the weird things I've found over the years is that if you pull the clock, damn it, this thing won't go in. If you pull the BIOS clock battery, the button cell, the number of times that has fixed a machine for me that's completely dead is a little terrifying. It's almost a please bro solution. I found that out by accident because I'd written off someone's machine. This is about 5 years ago. I'd written off their machine because it was not responding to anything. Like, motherboard was dead, even with everything pulled out, nothing at all. And then I was stripping it down and something came up and ended up the battery out of it. And all of a sudden it came to life. And I put a new battery in and all of a sudden it's great. It's working, nothing wrong with it. So Dell seems to be bad for doing that. So I don't know. I don't know whether it's a feature for them or it's just a design oversight. I'm kind of hoping it's just design oversight. But other than that, I'm really not sure. I don't get a lot of BIOS-related faults here. Most of the time it tends to be, failing hard drives, failing RAM, failing whatever, corrosion issues, or those little 10 microfarad 0805 caps that seem to have a passion for popping. Ah, man. Sorry the camera's on the wrong side, folks. I just seem to forever not get around to finding new positions for this. I'm thinking of moving my whole workbench, like all this assembly I've got here, with the hot air and the computer. Thinking of shifting it down slightly, and then I can put the camera on the opposite side. Pardon me. And I've got my 8-inch ventilation fan coming. Not sure when I'll get here. But to give you an idea how different it's going to be, that 4-inch system that I ordered, that was rated about 150 cubic meters an hour. This 8-inch system is rated at 1,000 cubic meters an hour. So it's going to be bigger for sure. It also chews up about 130 watts of power, which puts it in line with the commercial solutions from Hacko and Weller in terms of consumption. So I have a feeling we might be in the right ballpark. Let's see if this even works. There we go. Good start. Pulling out all the hardware, but a stick and yeah. Sometimes you just got to go right back to the basics. Place the battery, try to clear the BIOS, still stuck. Do you get anything at all coming up? Does it beep at all? That's the other thing. Sometimes putting a little speaker in there does help. Most of the time it's a nuisance. Watching TNT, pay-per-view, wrestling, I have no clue of the actors fighting. So is that fake fighting, fake wrestling? Was it WWF or something? I find it interesting that that's such a popular thing. Not to criticize or anything, it's just more like, it's interesting. Right, this fan's good. Let's see. Yeah, everything's good. Check the touch. This is a good way of checking the touch. Okay, I'm happy with that. Bingo. Cha-ching, more money. Okay. So that one's done. There's their old screen. A bit of a habit I'm getting into lately is I will put the customer's old screen into the container that I've got the new screen in, and then write it down, use it is, and then keep it in a box for a couple of weeks. The reason being is I have, if the customer's screen the new one starts misbehaving, I can just go back through my box. And I've also marked this is a purchase code from the supplier, so I can then straight away know where that screen came from, and then get my RMA issued. So, all right, next we have 5S, classic sort of battery pop out most likely. Let's have a look. Hopefully the screen won't break up on me. It's been under stress. Come on, come on. There you go. Oh yeah. That's a nice puffy one. So, impregnated phone. Oh. Haven't seen much in the way of streams from Lewis, Chris, or Jessa lately. I mean, I know Lewis put on that 2-minute thing the other day. So maybe it's the solar eclipse over there that's keeping them all occupied. This one's interesting. It does. Oh no, wait, I'm an idiot. For a second then I thought it was an iPhone 5, and I was going to say there's no pull tab. And I realised it's an iPhone 5S, and little the 3M command strip type things. Okay. Yep, marking my screws with a pen, I know. I said I'd sooner rather wash those off than deal with long screw damage. By the way, Paul, I'll be ordering that camera tomorrow. So, even though the YouTube super chat stuff won't get here until the end of next month, I'm able to jump the queue and get that ordered tomorrow. And then it'll take about 2 weeks to get here. Alright, here we go. This is always fun. Okay. Let's hope we don't fuck this up. Come on. Easy. You bastard. Come on. Out you come. Gotcha. Yeah, no, you're cutting. That sadly happens too often. I'm not going to puncture the battery. Believe me, I've got enough experience with lipos from my days of modeling model aircraft. I know what they can be like. Fortunately, this top section here is the control section, like the PCB, as opposed to the lithium cell itself. I know I can put alcohol down here, but that does get pretty messy. Twist, twist, twist. There we go. Excellent. All I was doing when I was under there was just getting the tip into the pull strip and then just rotate it around. It rolls it up without excessively stressing it. It gives you enough then to pull it out. Okay. Yeah, Chris, I normally do, but this time it was already running fine, so I started to just pull it up through the valley. But then with the second one, I didn't even get a chance to get it off to the side, but that is normally my technique. By the way, hello, Chris. Hello, Chris. So I paid attention to you. I was busy. The sound, yeah, the sound of the screaming pull strip. Of course, I could have done it the Chris Long technique, which is to pour acetone through it. Apparently that works really well. You lying bastard. Actually, it does work really well, it just takes everything else out. Look for any obvious faults. Oh, right, that's referring to the board. Okay. Now, because my supplier has really awful quality pull strips, I don't use them. I've been looking at places like Union Repair or whatever it is, and they seem to have a supply of the strips, and I might give them a go. But yeah, the ones that my supplier gives me, they're just too thin. As soon as I start pulling on them, they will snap straight away. Yeah, Chris, you didn't put that disclaimer on your statement when you shouted it out to the world. Do you expect me to be a chemist or something and understand that acetone takes out plastic goodies? Well, what do you think, I went to university and did chemistry or something? God, how presumptuous. In the back of my brain, I was thinking, this is going to melt the plastic. But I thought, no, Chris said it works. It's okay, I'm not really blaming you. It's just fun to taunt you. I should have known anyway. But anyway, this 3M tape works really well. It's a little bit more of an inconvenience to put it down. But the upside is I can get the batteries back out pretty easy as well, just using heat. And they do hold. They don't come flying off. Like I'm shaking around, they won't dislodge. Okay. Thought of Chris, and Paul and Jess listening to a national computer show. Of course, having issues with Samsung phone rebooting. I said, yeah, it's bad when there is no one fixing phones. Yeah. It's surprising, after so many years in this town alone, and we've only got 8,000 odd people around here, there are still people in this town who do not realise that I fix phones here. Now, because half of that is my own marketing fault, I should be out there with great big billboards and whatnot saying, I fix phones, I fix phones. But, alright, this is, because of that battery pushing out, it's caused the plastic carrier to come loose. And this looks like an original, a little bit of water damage in it. Is it water or is it something else? I don't know. So I may have to rebond this. I'm just trying to see what about this side. Yeah, I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue and rebond that. Where are you? You need to order the OEM pull tabs. Is that from Union Repair, Chris? Because I'm happy to order them if they do the job. I was just getting sick of the ones that I had that would just snap as soon as you didn't even get to the point where you could start putting tension on the pull tab. It just tore straight through. And then having to get some of those back out was just such a nightmare. I didn't want to do it again. So I went back to this 3M tape. Okay, that piece will probably do fine. There we go. Offer a free ice cream for every iPhone fix. That's actually probably not a bad idea, Matt. Especially around this area, the weather the way it is. Like here we are in winter still, and we're already pushing over 30 degrees during the day. It's ridiculous. Okay. So we'll jam our spudger in there, and cause a lot of people to cry. What are you doing? And we take our little piece of hot glue. What's this? Nah, do it without the spudger. Bloody hell. Let me just get in there. Alright. There's that corner. I know you can get adhesive kits, like frame kits for this, but I'm not going to pull the whole screen apart just to do what I'm about to do. Okay. Alright, let's get some hot air. I only got to do about 120, 130 for this. get some B7000. Yeah, I'll have to try that stuff again. The last couple of tubes I got were just junk. I do. Just pin them down for a bit and wait. Greg, what area are you in the world? Sorry for not knowing. I guess I don't really keep track of these things. -30 was brutal. Yeah, surgical knife time. Not cutting the glass, I'm cutting the interface between the glass. Just put some freeze spray on that and just knock it off. Yeah, let's get this thing back together. Winnipeg. Oh, Winnipeg. Thanks for that, Greg. You've probably told me before, so I do apologise for not having a good memory for those sort of things. Some things I remember to my dying day, probably. Other things just in and out. Hell, I don't even recognise half my customers when they come back an hour later. It's comical. But if you show me the circuit board on the phone, I'll go, oh yeah, I know that one. But the cases, no. I had my first failure with the microscope TriStar setup the other day. I thought it was the TriStar, it wasn't. It was something else. It's bleeding current and I don't know where or what. I mean, the phone will still last about 12 hours, so it's not a massive power drain, but it is enough, and it's probably going to turn into something bigger sooner or later. Like maybe the next time they knock the phone or something happens, whatever it is that's partially shorted right now, well I shouldn't say shorted, but whatever's draining it slightly now will probably turn into a full-blown short. And then at least I'll be able to find it. I had contemplated it might be the compass IC, but at this stage, given that the phone still ran for 12 hours, I wasn't willing to knock that off. I'm sure there's a million other things it could have been too. Dual TriStars. Oops. Sometimes when you latch these screens in, I've found that if it's, particularly if they've already started to delaminate, separate along here, they can get really picky about how you order them going back in. And you can do a little bit over here, a little bit over there. I hate it when the frame starts coming off at the middle, because usually it tucks in under itself when you try to push down. And it snaps off or twists. The camera is another thing. Yeah, I have noticed a few phones where the camera has been the hotspot, so to speak. Alright. So let's see if this thing's charging. Need to invent something that holds paper towel down. I'm sick of it catching up with me. Well, this phone is apparently completely blank. I hope that is the case. I get a little terrified at times when I finally power a phone up and then you find that it's blank. You can see there's a bit of weird screen stuff going on, like there's a strange sort of blotching over here. It's got the dreaded pink screen effect too. Like around the edges it seems right, but in the middle it's pinking. Oh. See you, Chris. Are you leaving? Yes? No? Hey, Foxy Scales. Ah, play. What are you playing, Chris? Better be Dota 2. Well, 800 milliamp charge rate. It's still over halfway, so that's about right. Ah, g'day, Handy Parts. Didn't see you sneak in on the side there. Alright, so that one's fixed. Or at least I think it's fixed. If I think it's fixed, that's good enough. Okay. Oh, we've got one more to go. I'll take that off. Okay. And this is iPhone 5 screen. Right. Yeah, that's. I think that's slightly faulty. Something just made a noise. This is not someone at the front. No, it's not. So, let me try to change this camera around, see if we can get a better angle. So I hope you don't mind a bit of a upheaval. So make sure this cable doesn't get hooked. It's seriously intertwined. Alright, I'm going to have to disconnect the webcam for a second. Come on. Crikey. Okay, hopefully we'll come back on just now. What? I plugged you in. This is why I shouldn't do things midstream. Yeah. Oh boy. Surely you should be able to it's kind of strange. I would have thought I'd be able to change the camera back without cancel. Alright. Yes, darkness. Darkness has enveloped us all. Yes. Add video capture. Oh, it seems like it really hasn't liked that. Okay, what I might do is I'll quickly exit out of Open Broadcaster, come back in. The stream should keep going. It'll just need a little bit of a hiccup, that's all. Okay, we should be back. I hope. Okay, that. Full screen, please. Just trying to get the focus right. That looks good enough. Okay. Now my other hand will probably get in the way. So here we go. Might pull the zoom back out. Oh, there he is. Crikey. Which is a little close. He's stuck on. Trying to get my bearings here. I think it's probably a little bit close and the focus is getting a bit dud there. You ask me, that battery, that's pumping up. I can just see it. It's starting to, I can feel it. It's starting to do its thing. Oh, great. That's just stuck on a bit easy, that's all that was. Say this may be entirely original. Been a long time since I've seen an entirely original iPhone 5. What else? Adjustment, let me try to fix that. I thought I'd turn that off. White balance. Yes, that's weird. I can't. It's set on manual. Is it? I've got the brightness set to a manual setting, and yet it still compensates, and I'm not sure why. Like, I can control it. Like, I can, do this, but it still seems to be, doing that. And white balance is hard set. Oh yeah, my head, I know. So I don't know where the compensations are coming from. I'm just going to bring this up a bit higher. Or at least further out, something like that. And then change the focus. There we go. So it doesn't really give. This is using the Logitech camera settings application. Light should come from where the camera is. Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice if I had. That's how it was before. Like my camera is up there. I mean, my light source is up there. Yeah, I'll bring it overhead more. Yeah, why not? Blind myself. Sounds good. Well, unfortunately, I don't really have a lot of other choices. That's the problem. There's simply no other options in my webcam controller. This was the upside of the Linux version. It had a lot more access to controls, even though it wasn't a Logitech one. I'll tell you that. It's feeling a bit thick and slightly spongy. Not much, but I definitely can feel it. And it's also got a bend in the board. Maybe that's what I'm feeling. So you can see that. Nice little kick there on the volume down button. These are really hard to fix because if you try to compress, straighten that out, all that happens is it causes a compression ripple here, which then usually turns into a fracture. So you're kind of doomed either way. No, I'll clean it up. Sorry, the lighting's going to be a crap fest for now. Let's get this. I almost need two cameras, one for my left hand, one for my right. Just cleaning up the, or debriding the human deposits that form in these corners. Looks like someone's put a crayon or something down there. Yep. Yum. Delicious. Just fold that over. It would probably help if I had a slightly more neutral bench top surface. I find things like just plain cardboard works quite well, because it isn't very reflective. It's about neutral in terms of, yeah, it's neither bright nor dark. Off you go. I'm trying to come out. There you go. Human deposits must be the nicest way I've ever heard that phrased. So this camera maybe needs to move a little forward, like away from me towards the back of the bench. So right now it's probably catching my hand most of the time. The silicone baking sheets, I've actually got one of those on order. I ordered a grey one. I was tempted to get pink. I thought it might add a little bit of humanity to me, getting a nice pink one. But no, I ended up grey. I'm not sure when it will turn up, probably in a week or two. It is from an Australian supplier, but that doesn't mean anything in terms of delivery performance. Come on, get out. Ah. Nope, okay, you're going to force me to have to, there you go. Yeah, definitely original. It's been a long time since I had to fight that much to get one of those off. Well, that's been through a bit of fun. Okay. Is your little screw mat just a sheet magnet? Paul, yes, it's just one of those cheap $2 printable magnets that you get from the dollar store or whatever. I need to buy a couple more actually. Oh great, now I'm out of paper towel. Oh well, this will suffice. It's just the last one, so it's got a bit of glue marking on it. Yeah, wash off the human scum. The only thing is, when you're using the alcohol cleaning up these buttons, is you usually take off the black paint on the back of them, which means the home button then becomes more of a silver look. So you can put it back on if you want with a Sharpie. It's up to you. You see all that area there, it no longer has its blackness. So you can just like do that if you want. It doesn't really do well at the moment because of that alcohol still hanging around. As a rule, I don't really even bother with that. Usually the customers are perfectly fine. We get those magnets with adverts fairly often. Grab one off the fridge. Yeah, they'll work. Yeah, these ones come specifically sold as printable fridge magnets. So on the back side of them, it's just a white sheet that you can put into your inkjet printer, flat feed or whatever. And yeah, put out your design, but I don't bother. I just pull them out, cut them up into about quarters, and it's good to go. So I just need a few more. Because I've got a lot more phones now sitting around with their pending status, I'm running out. I'm kind of doing all this a bit ass about front right now because I'm too busy chatting. I'm kind of surprised my other customer hasn't turned up yet. Actually, who am I kidding? I'm not surprised at all that customers haven't turned up. It's just, yeah. Punctuality is not a priority around here, it seems. One thing that is irritating me though is due to the position of this room in the house relative to the neighborhood, for some reason, because of the wind or whatever, I get all their smoke, like the cigarette smoke. It's not like clouds of it, but you know, the smell, it comes all the way into this room for some reason. Yeah, I mean, they're well within their rights to be smoking where they are and everything. It's just the nature of the prevailing wind and the design of this house that it comes in here. So I think I'm really going to enjoy when this 8-inch fan fume system turns up, because I suspect it's going to have enough power that if I mount it here on the wall in front of me, it's going to have the ability to draw in all that, filter all that out and give me some fresher air, so I'll be enjoying that. I mean, the house, 3 houses around me, they all have, the people there are still smoking. Like I said, well within their rights, they're on their property and everything like that. Yeah, baby.
Customer.
Sorry?
Customer.
Customer? Oh, okay. I'll be back in a second. Okay, sorry about that. That was, had to get to that one, get paid. That was for the first phone that we just did today. Let's see what I missed on chat. Hard drive magnets, oh yeah. Yeah, use those, you'll have a hard time getting your screws back. And you'll probably end up magnetizing the non-magnetic one that's used near the compass chip. That should be fun. Well, hopefully the new air filtering system won't draw in more than what it filters. I was a little disappointed about the 4-inch system, and mostly I was disappointed in myself. because I'd already done the math on the filtering capacity and all that sort of stuff. And according to my math, the 4-inch was going to be marginal at best, but I just sort of, I was foolish and I cheapened out a bit because I wanted to see what the filter canister and everything like that would be like. And if I wanted to do that with a 6-inch or an 8-inch, it was quite a lot more expensive. So I thought I'd experiment with the 4-inch and just see how it goes. But yeah, in the back of my head I was like, you know, you really did want at least the 6. I was like, oh well. But it's not a total loss because that 4-inch system I got set up just as a general filtering room filter, and it does a perfectly good job. Bigger can be better, yeah. Like I said, more frustrating when your brain already had told you that that's what the outcome was going to be, but you decide to put it aside. The same happened with the microscope, interestingly. With the Barlow lens, I'd already worked out that 0.7 was the right match, but then I got spooked. And I thought, no, I need the 0.5. And then the 0.5 turns up, and I'm like, nope, I need the 0.7. Yeah, come on, rotate, thank you. So you're ordering the same parts for the 6-inch? No, all I've done is I've just ordered the 8-inch fan unit, and that's it, nothing else. The reason being is I've worked out that I will, where is my, it's in the other room. But the HEPA carbon filter combos that I get, it has a 200mm, or pretty much 200mm height, so it's just perfect. I'll be able to put the fan unit, or box up the filter that I want, and just put the fan unit on the end of it. Hopefully I won't need to use, hopefully it'll be strong enough that I won't need to use a hose assembly hanging over the desk here or anything. Instead it can just be like a wall unit, kind of like a hood. And yeah, so it's going to be a case of experiment and see. The downside, of course, of doing all the experimentation is that you do almost always inevitably waste money. But I'm hoping that by me wasting money up front, then perhaps other people can avoid wasting money when I sort of provide a solution. Now, I know there's already some other chaps that have done filtering setups with a very similar motor. In fact, I think one of them uses the same motor as what I'm getting. But they're rather elaborate. They're like in an existing container and they've got multiple layers, all sorts of stuff. I'm trying to come up with something that's a little simpler to build, something a little more direct. Not to say I'll succeed, but I'm going to give it a shot. Let's see, where's my camera guides? Need to knock you off. Thank you. No, you're busted up. You're no good. I have to get another one. I am here, no wasting my Paul, but it's for the research factor. Yeah, I don't mind doing that. It's not a lot of money to waste, and it's not to say it will be a waste. But at this point, here in Australia, the existing hood systems, you're looking at about $1,500 to $1,800 for them, which is a little bit way over the top. And there is a second or third reason I want to do this, is in this house, during the summer, the air outside can drop down to a fairly nice temperature around about 10 o'clock at night. But because of the block assembly of this house, it turns it into a kiln. And we can't get, even with all the windows open, we cannot get enough airflow through the house. It's through the design or whatever. So I'm looking at these 8-inch fan units and placing them in a room each to see if I can draw in the outside air. Now I could run the air conditioners, but the air conditioners, even when you pull the lever out to use external air, that's really more of a bleed air. It's not truly a full external air. So I want to have one of these 8-inch units and see how well it can be in drawing in the cooler outside air. And given the wattage is only about 130 watts at maximum, it's certainly going to be substantially more cost-effective than the air conditioners. Okay. And the nice thing is drawing in the cooler air, I probably won't need to put a filter on or anything. I'll just put a mesh over it to stop large things coming through. But at 1,000 cubic meters an hour, I'm fairly sure that should have some impact. Hey, WorldTech, fresh airflow is amazing. I've picked up a Lasco window fan. They mount in the window and you can set it to exhaust or intake. Okay. Well, this would strictly be an intake one. The impeller design itself sort of dictates that. You could run it in reverse, but that would really be awful in terms of efficiency. But yeah, it's certainly, like I said, at the back of the house where we are at night time when we sleep, it is on the west side, and we just get blasted with sun in the afternoon. I've got what is it? I think I've got about an 18,000 BTU air conditioner up there, and that thing has to run flat out, and it still does not completely get the room down to temperature. 16-inch window mounted fan, actually that's pretty nice size. I forgot to put this RF connector back down. God damn. I have to pop these off so I can do it properly. I don't want to risk crimping the side of that connector. Microscope time. It's a sort of small thing you can stuff up and then regret. Come on, focus, and blinding light. Whatever. And that's it. So much easier when you've got a microscope. Hey, fixing things. Turn exhaust fans on in the bathroom and the kitchen and pulls the cool air in, saving, yeah, exactly, handy parts, yeah. Unfortunately, this house does not have anything to that effect. We have no bathroom fan, we have no kitchen exhaust fan, we've got nothing. So I'm working from scratch here. I figure 1,000 cubic meters, if that realistically is more like 500, I'm still ahead, especially at the wattage. This is the fun thing. When I reassemble the phones, you can't see what I'm doing. disassembling it, you can. At least this phase of it. There we go. Now you're going to be able to see. There we go. I'm not replacing this battery today, but I am going to be notifying the customer that this battery is probably going to be terminal within 3 to 4 months. I'll tell them to keep an eye on it, and should the screen happen to bulge out even one itsy bitsy little bit, I'll get them to bring it back in and we'll change that battery over. For some reason or another, I keep running out of batteries here. I order like half a dozen a week or something like that. No matter how many I order, it seems my customers detect that I've ordered that many, and then one extra person comes along. Like I finally decided to order some iPhone 6s Plus screens, not the big ones. They cost me around about $130 odd for refurbs. And I thought, yep, I've got some prep now, some stock on hand, and already they're gone. So it seems like the customers knew I was holding those, and they turned up, which is a good thing. Labels. Yeah, I generally don't put labels in my stuff that I've repaired. I just take the IMI, and that's how I track of what's going on. Oh, come on. You're a little SOB. Got a bit of a crush in this corner, so I'm going to have to lift that back up. God damn it. Sorry guys, I realised that was off. Yeah, I can see I didn't pay attention. There's a bit of a crush in there. Where's my Vaseline? There we go. I'll take over BoardView for you, but probably in the Sega Master System emulator. Oh, so there's other people looking after OpenBoardView anyway, so it's not like it's going to become a dead project or anything. I'm just simply, I've done my bit that I feel passionate about, and now someone else can do their bit too. I mean, Pelnov and Matt, they've been working at behind the scenes quite a lot. Pelnov's done a lot of good work with the file formats. And without him, we wouldn't be able to read half the stuff that we can already. And he put all the effort into merging my god-awful mess of changes into the main repo. So it's in good hands with Pelnov. And he turns up here in chat occasionally. He's always on Lewis's streams as well. So he's a pretty active person. Come on. No. Alright, that sits in much nicer now. Houses usually have basements where the program is naturally cooled in summertimes. Yeah, basements. Oh, that was a bit loud. Basements here in Australia, particularly in this part of Australia, are pretty much a non-existent thing. But when we watch American shows and we see people with basements, it's a little bit comical for us. But it would make more sense. Yeah, the ground we have is fairly steady and stable, whatever. But we just don't do it. Instead, we tend to put our houses up in this area. We used to put our houses elevated by about 9–10 foot, depending. Sometimes as low as only 6 foot, which is always a whole lot of fun when you're a bit taller than 6 foot and you go running under the house. And then we would have 11-foot ceilings and all that sort of high stuff. In the old days, they actually did know how to design houses to deal with passive cooling. And I really hope that that bend does not cause me grief later. So I'm sort of stuffed either way. I can try and bend it back and I'll damage the chassis. There's no big win here. Just waiting for this to come up. Phone is disabled. Lovely. Hopefully I should be able to just put a SIM in there. I'll give that a shot. If you get a phone is disabled because of the time issue, try put a working SIM in there. And if you're lucky, it'll synchronize with the network and set the time back. Of course, if you're unlucky, it's not the time thing, it's just that the screen was stuffed up and it put in the codes too many times, and yeah, now you're in a real stuffed up situation. Cancel. See, here we go, searching. Yeah, North Island, New Zealand, I can see them building like that, yep. Well, Chasing Capsian, I mean, I'm a member of the BoardView place, so it's not like... Try to restart this. Here we go, we're good, we've got our time back. There we go. And there you have it. See, fixed. Easy. I got lucky that time. Yeah, as I was saying, Chasing, I am a sort of like, I've got full control over there should things go out of hand. I'm just not actually participating anymore. Sitting in a converted limestone mine now. It's a bit like over here in Australia in Cooperpedy. They live in the opal mines underground. Australia, I think the problem here, I think a lot of the mines that they built here they're too narrow. Where they chased for the gold veins, they're too narrow and too unpredictable to turn them into proper housing areas. But yeah, I'm not sure. But all I know is up in this region of Australia, they usually just build it high off the ground. It also helps with the flooding on the coastal areas. Cyclones are a bit of a problem here for those high-set houses, but fortunately since about the mid-80s, with the minimum standard requirements and things like that, we don't generally lose houses to cyclones anymore. But Mother Nature is sort of stepping up a bit and starting to make more powerful cyclones, so who knows, we might be back into the situation again. But yeah, this is a gold mining town. The biggest mines we have are all open pit type stuff as opposed to shaft mines. We get it all here. Tornadoes, hurricanes, Gulf shores, glaciers. Oh, great. Yeah. Termites? Yeah, I've got termites. This is a block house and I've still got termites crawling up the walls. I think they've like I don't know, maybe they like to turn it in their granny flat or something like that. Every now and then you see the mud paths coming up the side of the wall. It's a real pain in the butt. All the joists and beams and things like that are treated hardwood, but it's still, if they get up there, they'll find something. Yeah, Louisiana is probably a reasonable comparison in terms of weather to here. We're a bit drier, but on the coast it's pretty similar. The same concept. You put them on stilts, you have half a chance of keeping cool. Now used for commercial storage, cold freezer, dry storage. That's a good idea. Had a few sinkholes pop up recently due to long lost mine shafts collapsing. That is probably one of the concerns that we have. A house I had over in South Africa, it snapped and half sank a little bit. Fortunately, we were able to repair it. But yeah, I came home from work one day and I could see this dirt on the kitchen bench. And I was like, what the heck? Because I knew the maid had been in that day. And I thought she wouldn't leave that there. And then as I sort of like panned up, I could see there was this crack through the wall. I was like, well, that's what happened. So a sinkhole had opened up. Fortunately, it wasn't right under the house. And what they did is I think they dropped around about 3 or 4 meters down until they hit some decent solid rock. And they just built up this great big column of just normal bricks. The poor buggers that had to do that, they had a little rope to climb down, they had a bucket and a shovel. That was it. That was how they were clearing it all out. I would not like to be doing that job. So things they do over there in South Africa. So. Anyway, I am done. My phones are done. That's the jobs for the morning. I do have a couple other little ones, but I'm going to want to do them with full concentration. But and of course, wanted to give the announcement about. It's not really. I didn't really need to give an announcement. I just wanted to give my reasons behind not doing OpenBoardView anymore. I think it's just, yeah, I've had my run. I did what I could, and some fresh blood probably wouldn't go astray. I'll probably sort of clench my teeth over a few things that think, oh, I want to do it differently, but you know, if you're not in there doing it, then you can't complain. So, well, anyway. But thanks everyone for popping in. I'm going to go get some late breakfast, and what is the time? 1:15 in the afternoon. Time for breakfast and another coffee, I think. So I will see you all next time. And Paul, I will get that camera ordered on Monday, which is less than 24 hours away. And then hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll have streams that are actually more interesting for a change. In the meantime, you all take care. I'll catch you later.